your pride. It's okay to cry. Go ahead and breathe. Redefine the strength.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Strong Black Woman Support Group podcast. This is a mindful and melanated podcast here on our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to talk about dropping the facade. Dropping the facade as your path to self-preservation, okay? And we have two amazing women here that's going to engage in this conversation with us today. But before we get into that, just want to remind you who I am. My name is Regina Renee. I am the host of the Strong Black Women Support Group podcast. I'm the founder of the Strong Black Women Support Group community and also the founder and curator and events planner for the Strong Black Women Redefined Conference. It's an annual conference exclusively for Black women where we tap into all things mental health and wellness. And so I will let our doctor in residence, Dr. Akua, introduce herself.
Hello. I'm Dr. Akua. I am the Black Woman's Wellbeing Coach, and I'm excited to be here today. Give you my customary body roll and turn it back to Regina. There's always going to be a body roll when Dr. Akua is in.
Okay. If Dr. Akua is in the building, you can guarantee for sure there's going to be a body roll. Okay. So let me just do a quick, brief introduction of our special guest today. Today we have Dr. Lanecha. Dr. Lanecha is also known as the ConnectHER. Okay, with a HER. Hello. She's a licensed therapist, connection coach, and speaker dedicated to guiding millennial women on their journeys back home to themselves. Through her signature iconic reunion experience and iconic framework, she helps women transform self-doubt and disconnection into confidence and authentic impact. Drawing from her own experience of self-reunion, Dr. Lanecha creates experiences where women feel empowered to embrace their stories and step boldly into their impact. When she's not hosting transformative reunions, you'll find her sipping coffee. She'll be recreating 90s R&B vibes and cherishing moments with her family, which includes her husband, her children, and her dog. So thank you so much. Join me in welcoming Dr. Lanecha, the ConnectHER. Welcome.
Hey. I'm so excited to be here. This is such an honor. And y'all already bringing the vibe. So we about to have a good time.
Listen, and anything 90s, I just want you to know the 90s was the best decade. Don't fight me, fight MC Light. Like, all I'm trying to say is we brought it. And
we did. So. I'm talking about hair, music, sitcoms, movies, hands down, the greatest era on earth. In fact, I am having my birthday party all centered around 90s things. It's a karaoke party too.
Oh, okay. All I'm trying to say is I know we don't live in the same place, but I can catch flights. Like you said, karaoke and 90s, those are my jam.
Oh, okay. On the list.
Okay, can we add Regina Renee and Akua to the invite list? Because everyone who knows me knows I'm like the queen of karaoke. Now I can't sing. Let's not get that twisted. But yeah.
Look, singing ain't my ministry either, but I'm gonna get up there and sing my heart out.
Got to do it. Belt.
Listen, for real. So I read your bio, your standard bio, but why don't you? I like for people to speak from the horse, hear from the horse's mouth. If you could just give us a brief introduction of yourself, Dr. Lanecha.
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, I am a licensed mental health therapist. I have been practicing, in the space of behavioral health for the past 18 years. And every time I say that, and I've been saying it a lot recently, I'm like, dang, I've been in this thing for a long time. But I am a connection coach. I'm a speaker, podcast host, and I'm just passionate about helping millennial women specifically. But when it comes to Black women, my soul is just set on fire. So I do that. I am married. I have 2 teenage kids that I am just like they Gen Z, so I'm just winging it every day. I have 2 dogs as well. My personality is I love to laugh. I love humor. Every time you interact with me, I'm going to be positive, or I'm gonna hit you with a good reframe or a different perspective. Especially if you're talking negative to or about yourself around me, we're not having it.
Period.
Like to have fun. I just like to empower, uplift, and just overall want women to just design the best versions of themselves and just come on back home to you, return home to you.
I love that. So first of all, Dr. Akua is like the queen of reframing. Every time I say something, she'll be like, let's reframe that. So y'all are definitely sisters in service when it comes to
I'm gonna tell
the
you.
reframing.
Let me tell you where the drawback is in doing that, because that's how I am across the board, wherever I am. So don't let me get caught slipping saying something like, "Oh, I should have did something." Whoever I done came at before, they be like, "All right, so how can we reframe that?" I'm like, "Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing." But that speaks to the fact that we can be here for folks. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to always have it figured out and have it right. And I'm not going to get ahead of us, but that's one of the really strong things that I like to promote. Be who you are, and we learn no matter how much we know. There's always something for us to learn, practice, retry, do again, build up, etc. So,
yeah, because all we got to do is stay Black and be ourselves. That's really it. I mean, that's all we can do. Stay Black and be yourself.
And be yourself. And so, can you tell us, Dr. Lanecha, can you tell us about your journey to becoming the connector and how you used your own experience and how it inspired your work?
Whew, yes. So becoming the ConnectHER is, well, I would say was and is a deeply personal experience. I spent years wearing so many hats: therapist, daughter, friend, coach, then later on in life becoming a wife, mother, leader. But I was very, very disconnected from myself. I had gotten so good at showing up for everyone else, but I wasn't taking care of myself. And I wanted to make sure that this book was in frame. It's called Emotional Self-Care for Black Women. I wanted to make sure that book is in frame because I spent so many years repressing or suppressing. Look at me, bring the therapeutic words in here, suppressing my emotions and just not speaking up for myself, not even being able to identify how I felt. I'll be honest, I am a therapist and now I have a therapist, but for many years I didn't have a therapist. And even though I have a therapist now, let's be honest, sometimes I do not, in fact, I don't follow the plan. I just don't. Sometimes I don't do the work. Sometimes my therapist is just like me and come in, if I cross my arm and tilt my head over, I'm about to read you because I know you didn't do what we said we were going to do. And my therapist gives it back to me all the time. So I'll just be honest that sometimes I wasn't doing the work. Sometimes I didn't know how to articulate how I was feeling. And my breakthrough came when I allowed myself to pause and just ask myself, like, girl, who are you? I just did a presentation earlier, or I wouldn't even say a presentation. I had a conversation with another community earlier where we were talking about just like tracing the roots of disconnection and self-doubt. And I told my story about how I was in my closet one day after I got married in June, living in Las Vegas. By July, my husband had to report to his new job in a different state. And then by August of that same year, myself and my entire family were across the country in Georgia. So Vegas, lived there where I lived there for 5 years. And then I moved to Georgia. Oh my goodness, it was a mess. It was a lot. It was so much. But I found myself sitting in my closet on the floor just crying. I'm talking about bawling. When I say bawling, because I didn't even recognize who I was anymore. I just was feeling super empty and unfulfilled on the inside. And like Dr. Akua mentioned, like, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to have it all together, but that was life. Having it all together was life. You know, that's all I knew. But I really had to really get to a point where I'm like, girl, you got to figure out who you are, what you want. You cannot hide behind all of the roles and the things that you do for other people. I'm a helper, so a helper's got to help, but also who's helping me. And that was something that I was thinking about. So, you know, now I guide other millennial women, especially those feeling overlooked, unfulfilled, who are self-doubting through their own reunion. And my journey taught me that reclaiming my identity, rewriting my story was the foundation of living authentically. And it truly is the heartbeat of my work.
I love how you framed all of that. You said some very key things, and it brings up for me that strong Black woman stereotype, that strong Black woman trope, the expectation to be this strong Black woman. And you talked about some of the ways that it shows how it showed up in your life, like having all the answers, being able to be there, doing the things, and we've been you spoke to this too. We've been socialized to believe like that's what it is. Like I'm supposed to be that. And so I'm curious, you know, in that moment, how you discovered it, and then also how you maybe walk your clients through this, the dangers of staying behind that space, the dangers of being like, well, that's just what it is. Mama did it, grandmama did it, auntie so-and-so did it, blah, blah, blah. What are the risks? What are the dangers of like just sticking with it? Because that's just is what it is.
Yeah, thank you. You know, that's such a great question because we love a good one. My mama did it. My mama did this and she came out all right. My mama with me and we was good. My mama did everything and she was still, if I may, you know, in this conversation, busting it open for daddy too. You know, my mama was doing it all, honey. But what we don't talk about in that mama doing it all, mama was tired. She was exhausted. She didn't know if she was coming or going. She was turned every which way but loose. Baby, she was going through. She was going through. So you can say you want to be like your mama. And our mothers or generations above us, they weren't talking about the impact of mental health. They didn't even really know how to articulate their emotions. So while you may have seen her doing it all, you probably saw her angry. You probably saw her just not well. And even in the instances where you saw her crying or you saw her just overwhelmed, she didn't talk to you about what she was experiencing. She didn't tell you that, you know, I'm overwhelmed, I'm tired, I just can't do it anymore. She never did that because, again, we were socialized to just keep going. And that's how it was for me. But living under this facade or carrying on this facade and living behind the mask, it erodes our mental health, our emotional health, even our physical health. Because when we suppress our feelings to maintain this illusion of what strength looks like, especially as Black women, we risk burnout, anxiety, depression, or even other chronic health issues. You know, high blood pressure, diabetes, among some other ones. So beyond that, it keeps us from fully experiencing life and also having those authentic relationships, because you're not really, if you're not really you in these relationships, just like with our children, my mama did this, you don't really know your mama. Because your mama showed you, she spoon-fed, she curated her life for you to see what she wanted you to see. So do you really know your mom? But when you take off the mask, when you drop the being a strong Black woman, when you drop trying to do everything and be everything and not ask for help, you're not creating those authentic relationships. So keeping up this facade means, choosing survival over thriving. And baby, we don't want to just survive. We want to thrive. It's exhausting, it's lonely, and it is unsustainable.
Period.
That's a very key word.
Yeah.
That's a very key word. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And I like the fact that you brought up that if you're not living your authentic self, if you're presenting a curated version of yourself, you're going to attract what you get, right? So your relationships are not going to be authentic. So if you are leading with, oh yeah, girl, I got you, I can help you. And I got it. Oh, I don't need nothing. If you're leading with that, right? That's how people are going to treat you. That's how they're going to behave around you. Oh, she got it.
Yep.
She don't need no help. I know I can go
Yep.
to Lanecha. I know she's going to help me. No problem, right?
Yeah.
But what happens when you really do need help, right? And you don't
Yep.
ask for it. And I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I know for me, when I was living like that, in my curated life, I would secretly resent people, right? But how would they know? How would they know that I needed help if I didn't communicate that to them? If I'm always communicating, oh girl, yeah, I got you. If I'm always, I got you. How can I resent that, right? But I really went through that.
Yeah. I can recall people even saying, oh girl, I knew you was gonna be all right. Oh girl, I know you're gonna be all right. You don't need my help. You know what to do. Like literally saying these words to me. And to your point, I would be like, how the fuck? Like who told you that? And I had to examine. Akua, you did. You didn't tell them, but you showed them that. You gave the impression that you was all good. And so that's what they ran with. They ran with the fact that you was all good, but you wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, we teach people how to be in relationship with us. And if we're teaching people that we're the strong Black woman, then we can't get mad at them when they're like, well, damn, I thought it was cool. I thought, you had it all figured out. I knew you was going to make it. You the one. I knew you was going to be the one.
Right. Right.
Or then they start questioning you like, girl, what you got to complain for? What's so wrong with your life?
Don't go there. That one was the one that used to get me so upset. Like, oh girl, I know you got it. Like, you only got 2 kids. I got 17. So I know you're not like, let's don't play the trauma Olympics. I'm going through. But something you said, Dr. Lanecha, about the relationships, that there was a disconnect when we hold on to this mask, along with the health risks of holding on to this mask of strong Black woman. And I'd love to hear about the reunion piece of the work that you do, because I was even thinking, as you said, that there's a disconnect in my relationships with others, but there's also a disconnect in the relationship with myself. Because you talked about, maybe you don't know your mama, she showed you blah, blah, blah. But there was a long period of my life I didn't know myself. There was that disconnect. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. And self-reunion is such a transformative experience. When we talk about self-reunion, that means that you are reclaiming who you are, because your relationship with you dictates the relationship that you have with other people. If you don't feel good about you, baby, you're not going to convince anyone else that you're well, even though you are keeping up with those unsustainable acts of looking like you have it all together. You must connect and reclaim who you truly are. And because the societal piece, again, those narratives that have and beliefs that have been given to us, right? If you think about it, as women, we're going to say Black women, people in general, everything we believe, all of the behaviors that we have were given to us. And so many of us are missing that piece of discovering, like, well, who am I? What do I believe? Right? Many of us, or maybe it's just me, baby, we was in church, honey. We was in church every Sunday. Tuesdays was Bible study. Wednesdays was something else at the church. In the summer, you go into vacation Bible school. We there for Easter, Christmas, all these things, and then going to showbiz, but it's what y'all call Chuck E. Cheese now. going, we're in church. Also, we're believing, hey, you got it all together. This strong Black woman phenomenon, we picked that up from other people. It was given to us. And so you must have that reunion with yourself. That reunion allows you to reclaim your voice, reclaim your values, reclaim your beliefs, and even your vision on life. It also allows you to reclaim your dreams, because I know so many of us, so many Black women I'll talk to, and I like to ask, like, so what do you desire? And they will list off the things that they want. And then I say, well, what's keeping you from that? And they're like, well, that's just not attainable for me. It's just, I don't know if that's going to be for me. To me, it is so critical to really connect and get and build that relationship with you. Square up with self-doubt. Stop talking to yourself any kind of way, to and about yourself any kind of way. And then you get mad when somebody else talks to you like that. You ever met a person who is so negative about themselves, just so negative about themselves, but then the first moment you be like, yeah, girl, you don't know how to dress. You get upset after you just spend like, I just don't know what to wear. I don't have anything. I look like this. People will treat you the way that you treat yourself. So it is very important to watch what you say to and about yourself. And self-reunion is such an act of self-preservation, because you are pouring into yourself so that you can show up fully, not just for others, but it really does start with you. It starts with you. All these relationships that you are going to build, the connections that you will have in your life, it starts with you. But if you keep overlooking yourself, you are going to always question these relationships in your life. I know I said a lot.
Yes.
That's bombs dropping.
Right there. Let it soak in, like seasoning. Okay, let it soak in. Right. Let it soak in.
I love, yeah, I love the idea of pouring into yourself. I just wanted to highlight that quote. Pouring into yourself. That's such a beautiful thing. I want to see more of that for Black women. Like giving to myself what I give to other people, because they love it. They love receiving it from me. So what could that feel like for me to receive that from me? Yeah. So I'm sorry, Regina. I heard you was going to say something. I'm gonna stop.
No, I agree with you, and I think for me, the extra layer for me, the important layer for me was doing it for yourself, but doing it for yourself first, right? So, like, we already know self-care and self-preservation is very important. We already know that, right? The internet tells us that every day, right? But a lot of us still feel like, I don't have time, and I just this got to get done, and the kids got to get fed, and homework got to get checked, and bills got to get paid. But it's like, if you're putting everything else before yourself, kids ain't gonna get fed, bills ain't gonna get paid, food ain't gonna get cooked. Like,
period. I was talking about this on another podcast, and the example of putting on your oxygen mask first came up. And I took it a step further. If you don't take care of yourself, if you're not well enough to put on your oxygen mask, and this goes to what you're saying, Regina, then you won't be well enough to put on somebody else's oxygen mask. So you must take care of yourself. You must get to know what it is you want and what you desire. Otherwise, you're going to be living and walking this life that full of the narratives of other people.
Exactly.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious to hear your response to some of those things that I've heard. I'm sure you've heard them as well. We've all heard them, that come specifically from Black women, in rebuttal to when you tell them to take care of themselves, or when you ask them a question like, why aren't you doing those things that you dream of doing? And they'll say things, we said it, but I would love to hear you respond to me as if I am that woman, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, if I don't do this, then my kids ain't gonna be able to blah, blah, blah. I'm a single mama, I got to do it. Or, my spouse is so busy, so I have to be the one to do it. I don't have the money to do it. All the things, I'm trying to throw all of them in there. How do you talk to me from that place of your iconic framework or from the connector? How do you talk to that woman in the midst of all of those excuses? You can pick one or you can talk generally.
Well, I keep it 100 when I have these conversations. So I'm going to say, girl, I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that, because you make time for what we want to do. You make time for who you prioritize. If you don't make yourself a priority, you become optional. So are you an option in your life? Right? And then ask them, how much time do you think it would take to prioritize you every day? How much time do you think it would take? I don't have that much time. Oh, you ain't got that much time? Oh, okay. So how much time do you spend scrolling when you wake up in the morning?
Oh, hello.
How much time do you spend thinking about what you're going to respond to your husband because he asked you something that you don't want to do? How much time do you spend about that? And not even just your husband, but your partner. How much time do you spend deciding whether or not you want to go with somebody? And for the partiers out there, baby, how much time do you spend getting ready to go outside to do whatever it is that you're going to do outside? So when I hear people say, it stirs up something in me that they don't have time to prioritize themselves. One, you don't even know how much time it would take to prioritize yourself. You're assuming. And then two, girl, find the time. Find the time for you. Because that's why you're sitting over there mad, angry, exhausted, irritated, all of the things unfulfilled in your life because you haven't made the time for you. And when it comes to the no money, I get it. I get it. We living in some times that things are high. When I talk about, when the conversation of money comes up, I say I understand that, but what would it cost you to stay in the same place that you're in right now?
Could we add up all the medical bills, all them prescriptions, all the sick time, PTO? Yeah. How much would it cost?
Where you at?
That's good.
How much has it cost you already? Being exactly where you are and being, doing for everybody else. How much has it already cost you? And are you willing to continue to pay?
Wow.
Right? Can I just say gems are being dropped? Can I just say gems? This is what we do over here at the Strong Black Women Support Group podcast. We drop gems, and y'all heifers better pick them up. Y'all better pick them up.
Pick them up. Pick up what I'm putting down, baby.
Okay. Okay. But listen, as far as like the time, I hear you, because I used to be one of those people who, I don't have time. If it don't get done, if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done. Or if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done right, type thing. But something that because I'm trying to be more mindful about being connected to myself. And one of the things that I started doing was I would listen to, whether it's like an audio book or a podcast about self-preservation or self-care or some type of motivational thing. I'll play that on YouTube from my phone while I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
That's easy 15 minutes of me like consuming positivity that's going to let me think about, process, you know what I mean? So like we have to take a shower, right? So that's I mean, that's not for everyone, but that's just one thing that I started doing the latter portion of last year, was playing like I said, audiobooks, podcasts centered around, self-care and self-preservation. And that has really helped me. That has really helped me. So that's just one little tip.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do, what I started with and what I'll recommend for women who want to drop the facade, who want to take off the mask. And it might sound cliche, but it is so impactful and so helpful. Start with gratitude and affirmation in the morning. Every morning, write or say one thing you are grateful for. And if you're feeling froggy, say 3 things you're grateful for. Because I did that because I found myself first thing in the morning griping about all of the things that I had to do, griping about how exhausted and how tired I was, but I wasn't doing anything about it. Griping about how, today, just speaking tired and exhaustion over the day before I even put my foot on the floor. So every morning I started writing 3 things I was grateful for, writing an affirmation, and then I started challenging the facade. So for example, if you know you say, "Oh, I don't have time to rest," I want you to reframe that. Look at it differently. You are allowed to rest. You deserve support for, those of us who felt like, "Oh, if I don't do this, everything gonna fall apart. Everything's gonna fall apart. So I gotta keep staying in this space of doing for everybody else." You deserve support. And it could be something as small as speaking up. Just speak up.
Mm.
And I know that it can be very, very difficult in a world where, you know, they want to censor Black women. They want Black women to shrink. They want Black women to just feel horrible about themselves. Black women, we're the most unprotected, but use your voice. Use your voice. Okay. And over time, when you start doing those things, you'll retrain your mind to embrace vulnerability and self compassion. And also, you will get to a place where you're creating space for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not just about the doing of the gratitude and the affirmations, but it's also creating that space and that time that many of you say you don't have. It's about creating that time and that space for yourself daily. Come on.
Yeah.
You can give yourself 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got to stop getting up, you know, gearing up to do and be for everybody else, to scroll and start comparing ourselves, to scroll and get depressed, to scroll and be anxious. We gotta move away from that. You deserve to give yourself some time
Mm-hmm.
simply for you. And you deserve to say no. Like, no, okay, kids, I know you got all this, but we got to make some adjustments. You're not coming home, then I'm taking you right back to the school because you don't want to stay at school. You got to stay at school, but walk on to the library, do whatever it is you need to do. That's why I had to tell my son, you better go on to the library now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a
I
reader.
love how you're naming really practical, small yet impactful changes that we can make. Like I think sometimes when we start talking about self-care, people think about it in this like mountainous way, like, oh my gosh, it's this huge undertaking. And it really isn't. Small things. I used to, when my kids were younger, and kids want all in mama's time. I want to be around mommy. I want to be where you are. That's literally the anthem from all kids, right?
Mhm.
And so I would go, TMI, but I would go into the bathroom, close the door. My children didn't bother me when I was in the bathroom. Y'all, I wasn't doing nothing. A lot of the times I would just turn the toilet seat down. I would sit down. Sorry, nature. I'd sometimes run the shower water because you think I'm predisposed. You think I'm indisposed. Is that the right word? And you think
Mhm.
I'm busy, so you're not going to bother me. And I would take those moments. When I would go grocery shopping, I would just walk down every aisles I needed nothing from, but these are small ways in the beginning when my kids were small that I would carve out time for myself. And so the nuggets that you're dropping about the small steps that we can um, make it seem more realistic and it make it seems more attainable because I don't have to jump into this whole new, way of being. I can just, when I wake up in the morning, instead of scrolling, talk about why I'm grateful. Before I go to bed at night, instead of scrolling, talk about where I'm grateful. I'd love to hear from you, like some of the principles that are a part of your framework, because it sounds, based off what you're saying here, it sounds like there's a lot of practicality to it, because I would love to demystify that for others. So what are some of the key principles that are a part of your framework?
So I'll go through it. The iconic framework is an acronym where each letter means something. So the I stands for identifying the disconnects. We have to pinpoint where and why the disconnection started, why we keep wearing this strong Black woman hat or jacket, or why we keep grip on that. So you have to identify that. Then you have to start to cultivate that self-belief. Replace self-doubt with practices that affirm your worth. If you don't feel as if you don't believe in yourself, then you will continue to believe in the fact that you, or the narrative that you have to continue to be a strong Black woman. Then you need to own your story. You need to own your story, own your superpower, embrace every aspect of your journey as a way that will help you grow. Use it as a tool for growth. Okay, this is my story. This is what I've been through. I don't have to succumb to the negativity of my story, because it's interesting. When we think about our story, we always stay put in negative spaces. Even though we have moments of accomplishments, moments where we feel happy, the negative moments, the negative beliefs always tend to outweigh those great moments, or they limit the time we allow ourselves to really celebrate those awesome and amazing moments. Through the end of the iconic framework is nurturing your authenticity. It starts with after you've identified the disconnect, then you must commit to showing up for yourself. I have to commit. Now, you remember back when I was saying I was sitting in that closet, baby, bawling. I could have stayed there. I could have just been like, all right, go to sleep, find myself in a closet a week from that, bawling and crying again. But I had to commit to myself. I made a promise to myself that following morning, and my relationship with promise was nearly non-existent, because I would make promises to myself, and every time I didn't accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish, I felt let down. I felt horrible. I felt just about myself. But I made a promise to myself, and I was like, oh, so I'm making promises now. Okay. I'm committed. I knew I needed a change. I had to have a change. So I committed to showing up for myself, using my voice, telling my story, understanding that vulnerability is a strength. And that I don't have to have it all put together. I don't. And I don't have to live the life that someone else sees me living. And I put that in air quotes. I don't have to keep up with that facade. And so I started to use my story to impact and empower others. And the C of iconic is creating that lasting, remarkable change. So aligning your purpose with action for a life full of impact. Now, in practice, it is meeting women where they are, guiding them through reflection, because this experience is definitely a reflective one. Because I can give you all the tools, I can tell you what I did, but I need you to really absorb what it means to do that for you. And so I help women implement the changes that will stick. And because you can do everything I tell you to do. I hear on the internet, I'm going to give you the exact strategy that I use. No, I'm going to help you figure out what that looks like for you. because my strategy, what I do, may not work for you. You may have to have your own affirmations or power statements, as I call it in the iconic reunion experience. You have to create your own power statements. You can't take mine, because what worked for me might not work for you. What I eat might not make you use the bathroom, and vice versa.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And that's one of the reasons why I call my annual conference the Strong Black Woman Redefined Conference, because
Mhm.
you need to redefine what strength means for you. You need to define what healing looks for you. You need to come up with your own power statements, like Dr. Lanecha said. Come up with your own affirmations, because it's not going to be a one size fits all thing. There are guiding principles, yeah,
Mhm.
but the
Mhm.
actual practices, it has
Yep.
to be unique to you, because that's the whole point of dropping the facade, is doing what you need. It's doing you, sis. And I love
Mhm.
your iconic framework, Dr. Lanisha, because a lot of the times when you hear someone say, "Well, do you," it's usually reactionary, right? So, like, say,
Yep.
I break up with my partner, I'll be like, "Okay, well, you go ahead and do you. I'm gonna do me because you clearly doing you." And it's like, I'm doing me only because you was doing you. No, you need to
Yep.
be doing you because you need to be doing you.
Mhm.
Right. And so I love the acronym that you gave, iconic, and how it's very clear, it's very concrete, and it's very proactive. It's not reactionary. It's very proactive, and I love that.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, we got to do the work. And I know we hear people say, do the work, do the work. Well, what does that look like? Well, I'm going to tell
Right.
you, I'm going to give you the guiding principles. I'm going to give you the framework, but this experience, you're going to have to dig deep. And not and I'm not gonna lie, it's a messy and exhausting experience. But again, like I mentioned earlier, what is the cost of you staying in this place that you
Hmm.
are in now?
Hmm.
I mean, what's the best that can happen out of this?
Right. Instead of asking what's the
Yeah.
worst, what's the best.
Mhm.
I think the value in what you do, um, is that you help women, because I don't know if you work with, all millennial women, you help women to see that there is another stream of thought, because
Mm,
within that facade, within the stereotype and the trope of strong black woman, that's almost a fixed expectation. There's always these high expectations, and you talked about sometimes we're always able to highlight the negative no matter how much we've accomplished. Well, that's because within the strong black woman trope, it's fleeting. The bar is always changing. You think, oh, this is the bar, and then you're like, okay, I got it. Nope, that was it. Nah, that was it. Well, no, it's over here
Mhm.
now, and it's ever moving. It's not consistent. So you're always running for this elusive concept as opposed to being authentic to yourself. And so the
Mhm.
work that you're talking about, Dr. Lanisha, through your iconic framework, and to the point that you made, you're going to give us your framework and facilitate the process. This is the way I name it when I'm coaching people or I'm doing my training program. I'm facilitating a process. I'm guiding you through something that worked for me. Your opportunity here is now to say, oh, wait a minute, wait, there's another way to think about it. Wait a minute, I don't have to do it the way Big Mama did it.
right.
I get to ask questions about that and do something different. You're giving people that effectively that invitation to
Mm,
go outside
Mhm.
what has been expected of them all of this time. And so what would you say? First of all, do you agree with that? And yeah, I'll stop there and then I have a second part.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And I like the way I lit up when you said it's the invitation, because that
mm,
truly is like the phases of my program are. It's the first phase is the invitation, and
Yeah,
the second phase is the gathering, and the third phase is the homecoming.
yeah,
So when you say invitation, I agree. I agree. I'm going to invite you in to have this to make this commitment. I'm going to invite you in to give you something that might shift your awareness or make you aware of where you are, because a lot of us are not there. A lot of us are not even aware that we are living up to or have this strong Black woman facade. We know that something is just not right. We know that I don't necessarily want to do it like Big Mama did it, but I just don't know. Like, what is this? What is this? Because we start to normalize
Yeah.
the life that we live as a strong
indeed.
Black woman. So we like, oh, see, it's not. I know there was nothing wrong with it. So I invite you to gain that awareness piece.
I'm gonna tell you, when you walk through that part, the churchy girl in me was like, "Wait a minute, that sounds familiar." That invitation, and then like all of that. I was like, "Wait a minute." So along with what you're saying, my second part of my question is, what would you say is the first step that somebody could take to kind of start that journey? I hear all of this wonderful stuff that you're saying, this beautiful framework, this invitation that you extend to me. What would be a first step that someone could take to begin their journey?
The first step really is create a moment where it's just you. Create that moment, because with all of the external noise, with all of the belief that we have to keep doing all of these things, I need you to hear you. You know, when I was thinking about like what would the first step be, I was like, it starts with awareness. But then no, I think that it starts with creating that space, because if it wasn't for that space that I had when I was sitting in my closet crying, like, oh my goodness, what is this? I would have never been able to hear me. I would have never been able to allow myself to listen to that inner, I'll say that inner desire, not the inner critic, but that inner desire of knowing that I wanted something different. So it starts with creating that space for you so that you can allow yourself to gain the awareness, so you can allow yourself to make the commitment back to yourself. And then we can go through the steps of, you know, reclaiming you, reclaiming your voice, and then ultimately going through that iconic framework. It starts with just creating that space for you.
That's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah, that's I totally agree that's the first step, because like you said, some of us are not even aware that we're stuck in this toxic cycle of the strong Black woman's syndrome, right? And just sitting with yourself, hearing your own voice, because like you said, we know something's not right. We know this don't feel good. We know we sick and tired of being sick and tired, but we just can't really like name it,
That's
right?
it. You know, that shows up. I want you to put on your relationship energy, your relationship, romantic relationship
Come on.
energy. Because, baby, we go, it's just something in my gut that don't feel right. I know something going on. I know something wrong. That's the type of energy that I want you to bring in those moments. Because think about it like this: your relationship with you is a romantic relationship, it's an intimate relationship. So you're going to nourish a relationship with that dude, that woman, that person, but you're not going to nurture and really listen to yourself when it comes to your relationship about you.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Way in
Come
the back.
on, y'all. You must, you have to bring that energy. I compare it to romantic relationships, because romantic relationships is what we put in that work.
Yeah.
Romantic
Yeah.
relationships is where they tell us to pay attention to the red flags.
Girl.
Romantic relationships are the moments where
Preach, Doc.
romantic relationships are the ones where we just like, it's something in my gut. You know, that gut feeling that had you at their house trying to figure out if they really there, or if they in there with another woman or not, or a person
Going
or
through their
not.
phone, like, why are you? Yeah, okay. Preach,
They
Doc.
holding
Preach,
their
Doc.
phone like this. You know what I'm saying? Have you up at night wondering why this person is not loving you the way that you need them to love you? Baby, why are you not loving you the way you need to love you?
Ah! Shout out to
My
Jasmine
God,
Crockett.
today.
Ah!
Listen, I get so passionate about this, baby, because I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of the I don't have time. I'm tired of the lack of investment that we have in ourselves. And I'm also tired of the darn complaints when we are misaligned, when we are not feeling well, when we know we don't want to do everything, but we keep carrying this load. I'm tired of it, y'all.
Yeah. I want you to know that I saw mics dropping just all over the place, because plain and simple, we looking outside of ourselves for something from someone who does not know us as intimately as we know ourselves. So why are you attacking that person for not loving you the way you deserve to be loved? When, baby girl, you are not loving yourself. Nobody knows. And we do that thing where we expect other people. You're supposed to know. We've known each other for 4 years. We've known each other for.
I got to get up and run around this office.
Listen, there's no. You know exactly what you need. And I'm gonna say, yes, there are some ways that people can love us that we need to receive it externally, but being able to describe and define that to somebody, even down to that moment where the only lovers go, you cannot define those things for yourself or to your partner if you don't know them yourself. I got to know myself all the way down to the core of me in order to be able to demonstrate to somebody else how they are to love me.
Yeah.
And I heard Iyanla Vanzant say, the only relationship you are in is the one that you're having with yourself. So my friend, if you ain't having no relationship with yourself, then you can expect what other people do to you to be a mirror of that relationship that is happening there.
And what are we really doing here? What are we really doing here?
What are we doing? Ooh. Okay, Dr. Lanecha.
Well, as the old folks used to say, shut my mouth wide open. I ain't got nothing else to say.
I want to ask you a question. I'm gonna turn it around to Dr. Lanecha real quick. I know we've been asking you questions, but I would love to know about you, because like you said, you get passionate, and it's clear to see, it's obvious to me that what you're doing is coming from a place not only of lived experience. I want to say that reverse. It's not only coming from a place of knowledge here, but it is also coming from a place of lived experience. And I think that's where you're when we find our powers, when we're able to marry and match what I've learned from a book and what I've lived in life. So I'd love to know from you about your life, how you balance, like you're helping other people with that reunion to self and maintaining that self-preservation. How do you balance the work that you do to guide others with maintaining Dr. Lanecha's self-preservation? How do you do that?
Ooh, baby, Jesus and therapy. No, I've had an interesting life. A lot of revelations along the way that, and I'm gonna say, let me just say this. I gotta be honest and transparent in everything that I do. My self reunion wasn't that long ago. 41 years old. My reunion was not that long ago. So I'm not here to tell you that I've been doing this, I'm true to this. I ain't new to this. I'm telling you that I go to church now, or I've been watching church because there's been a lot of church hurt, but I will say that I know that the one thing that has always been a constant in my life is that my faith has always been a constant, and I more times than not I've seen where my faith has allowed me to ascend, has allowed me to be in certain rooms, has allowed me to connect with certain people, and therapy. Okay, I listen now. I'm probably not the best client, but I'm working on it. I live in my truth. I am really solid about who I am. I don't I don't have that mask on anymore. I know that it's okay not to have it all. I know that I ain't got to be the one that clean up this house when everybody else is messing it up. I know that it's okay to say, you know what? You need to invest in someone to help support you. My husband has a full-time job. I run a business that requires a lot of my time. Solopreneur right now, but I'm looking for that favor for a team.
Listen.
And I just have had to those two things, but it's also boundaries and me creating that time for myself. My family now knows it used to be down to the time, but I had to shift it. My family knows, like, let me tell you something. Okay. Between this time and this time, I ain't your mama. I ain't your wife. Don't nobody call me my phone on D&D. I don't want to hear nothing unless you believing. And then if you are believing, I'm going to ask you, but did you die? Okay. So leave me alone. This is my time. This is my time. And I had to create that space for me. If I would not have started to create that space for me, I don't think that I would be where I am now. And I don't think I would have had all of the revelations based on the reflection that I have and pockets of experiences along the way, or experiences throughout my life. I would not be where I am today. And so boundaries are a must. I've learned to prioritize my rest. Okay. It's not selfish. And even if you think it is selfish for me to rest, IDGAF. Okay.
Period.
I know that's right.
Period.
So as much as I am passionate about the work that I do know that it can be exhausting. And if I'm not taking the rest, I'm not going to be able to continue to show up in my fullness for the women that I serve. I set aside that time for stillness. I have to set aside that time for stillness, whether that's I'm praying, I'm journaling, or I'm going to Pilates because I like Pilates. I wouldn't say I'm a Pilates princess, but I do like Pilates. And then I also lean into community. Because just as I help others, I allow others to pour into me. And I'm a firm believer in community, in the power of community, the healing that happens in community. And with that, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you both for allowing me to be a part of this community and start to cultivate this connection. I'm so grateful for that. So I also remind myself that I can only guide or host women from a place of fullness. Self-preservation is not optional. It is a must in my book. So, those non-negotiables that you have in relationships, self-preservation, it's one of those non-negotiables for me. And everybody around me knows that.
I know that's right. Dr. Kua pointed at me when you said D&D, because everyone who know me know my phone is programmed. Okay, pre-programmed to automatically go on do not disturb from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. If it's an emergency, you better call 911.
Yep.
Listen,
I do so on social media too, baby. 8 o'clock, I get that message on Instagram where it's time to shut it down.
I text Regina at 8:01 one night. 8:01, and then I came back at 8:05. I was like, "Oh shit, you on D&D? Well, never mind. I'll talk to you tomorrow."
Hey, look, now sometimes folks try to text me after a certain hour. They hit that notify anyway. But for the most part, it'll be like my kids or something, or my closest friends. They'll notify anyway, and I hit them back with the emoji, like, girl, look at that time.
Right.
Watch.
That must be an iPhone thing, because that ain't like that on Android. Y'all can't get to me. Yeah. You text me at 8:01, you get a response at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know on Android you can set it. Like my kids and my mom were always able to get through, because you can set it up to where certain people only can bypass. But
yeah,
we don't need to talk. We talking about setting the boundaries. So
yes, we talk about set. Right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Lanecha, for blessing us with your story, your expertise, sharing your iconic framework with us today. If folks want to get in touch with Dr. Lanecha, she is on Instagram at Dr. Lanecha, so please check her out. We talked about self-care. We talked about self-preservation. We talked about putting yourself first. If you need some additional support with that, you can always sign up for our masterclass. Our next one is actually the first one of the year. Is not a coincidence that it's about self-care, that it's about self-preservation. So it's going to be a virtual masterclass February 25th. It's called 5 Ways to Slay Your Self-Care in 2025 and beyond. If you are part of the Strong Black Women Support Group community, you get this virtual masterclass for free as part of your membership. But if you don't want to join the community and you just want to attend the class, feel free to sign up via Eventbrite. And if you want to work directly with Dr. Lanecha, make sure you check her out. Again, she is on Instagram at Dr. Lanecha. No underscores, no period. It's just at Dr. Lanecha on Instagram. So make sure to check her out. Now, before we go, do you have one last thing, just one final thought for the people out there listening?
Yes, I'm gonna do it like they do in church. If you ain't heard nothing from me, they probably do this outside church too. But if you didn't hear anything else, I want you to know that you don't have to have it all together to be worthy of love, joy, and impact. Give yourself permission to drop the facade, take the mask off, reclaim your identity, and show up fully, because you are your most iconic self when you show up as you. Again, thank you for allowing me to be here. If you are wanting more questions, or you just want to come bop in my DM, because it definitely goes down in the DM, send me a message. If you are a millennial woman, the iconic reunion program or experience, I'll say, is now open for enrollment starting February 5th. The reason why I have it starting February 5th, because I don't want you to succumb to the February fall off like we all do. So I want you to know that you have a space where you can reclaim your identity, rewrite your story, and make that remarkable impact that your heart desires.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been another amazing episode of the Strong Black Women Support Group podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this with someone who needs to start doing them and dropping their facade. All right? Peace.
You've been holding it down for so long, carrying the weight, staying so strong. But it's time to let go of the pain. No more hiding behind all that endless rain. You've been told you need to be better than the rest, running through life, feeling all that stress. But here's a place where you can just be, relax, relate, and set your soul free. Strong black woman, put that cape down. You're not superwoman, put on your